Every year, millions of Muslims look toward a single point on earth, the Kaaba. It is shrouded in the Kiswah, a 670-kilogram masterpiece of silk and gold, so sacred that even its discarded threads are treated with reverence. It is a symbol of the divine. February 2026. The world learned of a transaction that felt less like divinity and more like a descent into the underworld. Among the 3 million pages of the newly unsealed Jeffrey Epstein files, a set of customs declarations and encrypted emails surfaced. They told a story that was, until now, considered an impossible rumor. 3 pieces of the Kiswah. The actual cloth from the House of God was shipped from the heart of Mecca to a private island in the Caribbean owned by history's most prolific predator. This isn't just a story about a weird collector. It is a story of a Saudi woman who acted as a cultural broker, an Emirati socialite who opened the doors, and a man who believed that if he could own the sacred, he could finally become untouchable. Tonight we trace the Silk Trail, the complete detailed account of how Jeffrey Epstein acquired the Kiswah. First of all, we should know characters which were involved in Kiswah export. To understand how a piece of the Kaaba moves from a high-security workshop in Saudi Arabia to a billionaire's mansion, you have to look at the people Epstein spent years cultivating. He didn't just buy the Kiswah, he was gifted it through a web of elite facilitators. The facilitator. Aziza Al-Ahmadi is a name that appears hundreds of times in the 2026 document dump. A high-profile Emirati businesswoman with deep ties to the ruling families of the UAE and Saudi Arabia, she served as Epstein's fixer in the Gulf. Al-Ahmadi wasn't just a socialite, she was a gatekeeper. Her role was to translate Epstein's desire for status artifacts into reality. She is the one who bridged the gap between the secular West and the deeply traditional East. If Aziza was the architect, Abdullah Al-Mari was the contractor. Based in Riyadh, Al-Mari was a man with access to the Kiswah factory in the Al-Judd district of Mecca. This factory is a fortress of tradition. Getting a piece of the cloth, especially a piece that has actually draped the Kaaba, is nearly impossible for a private citizen. Al-Mari used his bureaucratic influence to secure retired fragments under the guise of diplomatic gifts. The files frequently refer to a woman identified only as Layla. Investigations suggest she was a wealthy Saudi national living between London and Jeddah. Her role was crucial. She was the authenticator. She knew the difference between a high-quality replica and the genuine gold thread calligraphy. She ensured that Epstein was getting the touched silk, the material that had absorbed the prayers and tears of millions. She validated the spiritual value of the item, making it the ultimate trophy for Epstein. The logistics of desecration. The 2026 files don't just tell us who. They tell us how. The logistical trail is a masterclass in smuggling under the guise of legitimacy. According to the shipping manifests found in the 2019 FBI raid, Epstein received 3 distinct items. The Al-Samadiyah, a square piece of the outer black silk featuring the Surah Al-Ikhlas in gold thread. The green inner lining, a rare fragment of the green silk used to line the interior walls of the Kaaba. The unused script, a section of calligraphy that was prepared but never mounted, intended for Epstein to display as modern art. The shipment, Project Tapestry. The shipment was coded as Project Tapestry in Epstein's internal ledger. The items were first moved from Mecca to Dubai. From there, they were packed in climate-controlled crates and labeled as religious art antique textiles for customs purposes. They were sent to St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands. Why? Because Epstein's Great Brack Office had a special relationship with local customs officials, allowing for less scrutiny on private jet cargo. The files show a specific email from Epstein's assistant to Al-Ahmadi. The package has arrived. He is moved by the weight of it. It is in the library. But why Epstein needs a piece of Kaaba? Why would a man like Epstein, a secular New Yorker with a history of predatory behavior, want a piece of the Kaaba? To answer this, we look at his psychological profile and his geopolitical goals. 1. The shield of respectability. Epstein's greatest weapon was his perceived proximity to power. If he could show a guest a piece of the Kiswah, it sent a silent message. The custodian of the 2 holy mosques respects me. "I am a man of global significance," it was a form of diplomatic armor. 2. The rebranding campaign. By 2016, Epstein was trying to pivot. He was no longer just a money manager. He wanted to be seen as a peacemaker and a bridge to the Middle East. The 2026 files include drafts of letters where Epstein mentions his deep reverence for Islamic history. He used the Kiswah as a prop to prove he was one of them to his Gulf investors. 3. The spiritual ego. There is a darker psychological aspect. Epstein was obsessed with legacy and immortality. Owning a piece of an object that millions believe is a portal to the divine was the ultimate ego trip. He didn't want the cloth for prayer. He wanted it because it was something he shouldn't be allowed to have. The aftermath. And the scandal. When these files were unsealed in early 2026, the reaction in Saudi Arabia was one of pure outrage. The Kiswah is a national treasure. For it to be found in the estate of a man like Epstein is considered a profound desecration. The Purge connection. Investigators are now looking at whether these gifts were part of the 2017 purge in Saudi Arabia. Epstein famously bragged that his friends survived the crackdown. Were these pieces of the Kiswah a thank you for his help or silence? The legal fallout. The Saudi Ministry of Culture has officially requested the return of the artifacts from the Epstein estate. However, because they were gifted by private individuals, the legal battle is a nightmare of international law. Conclusion. The story of the Kiswah and Jeffrey Epstein is a reminder that in the world of the ultra-elite, nothing is too sacred to be traded. A piece of cloth meant to represent the humility of man before God ended up as a decorative piece in the home of a man who thought he was God. The Saudi woman, the Emirati fixer, and the middleman in Mecca, they all played their part in a transaction that should have never happened. As we continue to dig through the millions of pages of the 2026 unsealed files, we have to ask, what else was traded in the dark to keep the lights on in Jeffrey Epstein's world? The documents suggest there were 2 other shipments that have yet to be located. If you want us to do a deep dive into the Epstein passport found with a Saudi residence permit, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more coverage of the 2026 Epstein file unsealing.